Hey there, wonderful listeners! This is Pia, and you're tuned in to We Listen and Learn, where we explore life's big questions together. Today, we're diving into something that many of us struggle with but rarely talk about: being okay with being alone. You know that feeling when you're by yourself, and suddenly your mind starts racing, wondering if you should be out there doing something, anything, with someone else? Yeah, I've been there too. In fact, I have a pretty interesting story to share about my own journey with solitude that completely changed how I view alone time. In today's episode, we'll explore why being alone doesn't have to mean being lonely, and I'll share some practical tips that helped me transform my relationship with solitude. Whether you're someone who dreads empty weekends or you're just curious about embracing your own company, this episode is for you. So get comfortable, grab your favorite drink, and let's learn together about the art of being happily alone. I remember it like it was yesterday. 5 years ago, I found myself living alone for the first time after my roommate moved out. The first few weeks were absolutely terrifying. Every creak in the apartment made me jump, and the silence felt deafening. I'd constantly call friends or family, desperately trying to fill the void with voices, even if they were just coming through my phone. The weekends were the worst. I'd wake up on Saturday mornings with this overwhelming anxiety, scrambling to make plans with anyone who was free. Sometimes I'd even go to coffee shops just to be around other people, ordering drink after drink until my hands shook from too much caffeine. One particularly lonely Sunday, after scrolling through social media for hours and seeing everyone's seemingly perfect social lives, I had a complete breakdown. I sat on my kitchen floor crying, wondering why I couldn't just be normal and enjoy my own company. That moment, as painful as it was, became my turning point. Something clicked that day. I realized I was running from myself, treating alone time like it was some kind of punishment. So I decided to try an experiment. Instead of fighting against the solitude, I would lean into it. I started small, just 30 minutes of intentional alone time where I wouldn't reach for my phone or try to distract myself. At first, it was uncomfortable. My mind would race, and I'd feel this intense urge to call someone, anyone, but gradually, something beautiful started happening. I began to notice things about myself I'd never paid attention to before. I discovered I actually enjoy drawing, something I hadn't done since childhood. I found peace in cooking elaborate meals just for myself, taking my time to experiment with recipes without worrying about anyone else's preferences. The real breakthrough came about 3 months into my experiment. I had planned to meet friends for dinner, but everyone canceled last minute. Instead of panicking like I usually would, I realized I was actually looking forward to spending the evening alone. I treated myself to a nice dinner at home, lit some candles, and genuinely enjoyed my own company. That was when I knew I had transformed my relationship with solitude. Looking back now, I can hardly believe I was the same person who used to dread being alone. Those moments of solitude have become some of my most precious times, where I can truly hear my own thoughts and reconnect with myself. It wasn't an easy journey, but it taught me that being alone doesn't have to mean being lonely. It can actually be the beginning of the most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. Let's talk about something that affects so many of us: the fear of being alone. You know, it's fascinating how deeply ingrained this fear is in our society. We're constantly bombarded with messages that being alone somehow means we're missing out, that we're not living life to the fullest, or worse, that there must be something wrong with us. In today's hyper-connected world, we've almost lost the ability to distinguish between loneliness and solitude. They might sound similar, but they're actually completely different experiences. Loneliness is that empty feeling, that emotional hunger for connection that can hit us even when we're surrounded by people. Solitude, on the other hand, is a conscious choice to spend time with ourselves, to embrace the quiet and find peace in our own company. Think about how we react when we see someone eating alone at a restaurant or going to a movie by themselves. Our first thought is often, "Oh, that's sad, right?" But why? This societal pressure to always be surrounded by others has created this strange stigma around doing things solo. We've somehow convinced ourselves that being alone equals being lonely, when that couldn't be further from the truth. The fear of being alone often stems from deeper issues. Maybe it's the fear of confronting our own thoughts, or the worry that we're not interesting enough to keep ourselves company. Sometimes it's the fear of what others might think of us. We've all felt that pang of anxiety when posting on social media, wondering if our solo activities make us look isolated or unpopular. But here's what's really interesting. This fear of solitude is relatively new in human history. Our ancestors often spent long periods alone, and many great thinkers and creators throughout history have praised solitude as essential for personal growth and creativity. Somewhere along the way, we lost touch with this natural part of the human experience. The pressure to be constantly social has only intensified with social media and smartphones. We're never really alone anymore, are we? Even when we're physically by ourselves, we're just one click away from hundreds of connections. But this constant connectivity might actually be preventing us from developing a crucial life skill, the ability to be comfortable in our own company. Let me share with you the incredible benefits that come with spending quality time alone. And trust me, they're pretty amazing. When we give ourselves permission to embrace solitude, we unlock this incredible potential for self-discovery and growth that's just waiting to be explored. You know what's fascinating? Research has shown that spending time alone actually boosts our creativity. Think about it. When was the last time you had a brilliant idea? I bet it wasn't in the middle of a crowded meeting. It probably came to you during a quiet moment, maybe during a solo walk or while you were just sitting with your thoughts. That's because solitude gives our minds the space to wander, to make new connections, and to think outside the box. And let's talk about self-discovery. Oh my gosh, it's like having a conversation with your inner self that you never knew you needed. When we're alone, we can finally hear our own thoughts clearly. We start to understand what we truly want, not what others expect from us. It's like turning down the volume on the world's opinions and turning up the volume on our own inner voice, personal growth. That's where solitude really shines. When we're by ourselves, we're forced to become self-reliant. We learn to solve problems on our own, make decisions without seeking approval from others, and become comfortable in our own skin. It's like building emotional muscles we didn't even know we had. There's this amazing thing that happens when you spend quality time alone. You develop this deeper sense of self-awareness. You start noticing your patterns, your triggers, your genuine likes and dislikes. It's like becoming your own best friend and greatest advocate all at once. And the best part? This self-awareness carries over into all your relationships, making them stronger and more authentic. Solitude also gives us this incredible gift of mental clarity. When we're constantly surrounded by others, we're unconsciously influenced by their energy, their opinions, their moods. But in solitude, we can finally think clearly about our goals, our values, and our direction in life. It's like cleaning a foggy mirror. Suddenly, everything becomes so much clearer. And here's something that might surprise you. Spending time alone can actually make you more emotionally resilient. When you learn to be comfortable with your own company, you stop depending on others for your happiness. You develop this inner strength that helps you navigate life's challenges with more grace and confidence. It's like building your own emotional safety net. Now, let me share some practical tips that have really helped me embrace and enjoy my alone time. I promise these aren't just theoretical ideas. These are tried and true strategies that I use myself. First, start small. If you're not used to being alone, don't jump straight into a solo weekend retreat. Begin with just 30 minutes of intentional alone time each day. Maybe it's an early morning coffee ritual before everyone else wakes up, or a peaceful evening walk around your neighborhood. The key is consistency, not duration. One of my absolute favorite solo activities is what I call curiosity dates with myself. Pick something you've always wanted to try. It could be visiting that quirky museum downtown, trying out a new cafe, or even taking yourself to a movie. I remember feeling so awkward the first time I went to a restaurant alone, but now it's become this amazing opportunity to people watch and really savor my meal without having to make conversation. Let's talk about mindfulness practices, because they're absolute game changers for alone time. Start with simple breathing exercises. Just 5 minutes of focusing on your breath can help center you in the present moment. I love doing body scans while lying in bed, starting from my toes and working up to my head, just noticing any sensations without judgment. Create a cozy space that's just for you. It doesn't have to be an entire room. Even a comfortable corner with your favorite blanket, some candles, and perhaps a journal can become your sanctuary. This is your space to decompress, reflect, and just be. Speaking of journaling, it's one of the most powerful tools for making alone time meaningful. Don't worry about writing perfectly, just let your thoughts flow. I often write letters to myself, list things I'm grateful for, or just brain dump whatever's on my mind. It's like having a conversation with yourself on paper. Get creative with your solo activities. Try adult coloring books, learn to knit, start a window herb garden, or experiment with cooking new recipes. The beauty of doing these activities alone is that there's no pressure to be perfect. You can mess up, start over, and learn at your own pace. Movement is another fantastic way to enjoy solitude. Whether it's yoga, dancing like nobody's watching in your living room, or taking a nature walk, physical activity helps release endorphins and keeps you present in your body rather than stuck in your head. And here's something that might sound counterintuitive. Schedule your alone time like you would any other important appointment. Block it out in your calendar and treat it with the same respect you'd give to a meeting with someone else, because ultimately, this is a meeting with yourself, and that's just as important. Remember, technology can be both a friend and foe during alone time. While it's tempting to scroll through social media when you're by yourself, try to use technology intentionally. Maybe use a meditation app, listen to a thought-provoking podcast, or create a playlist that matches your mood. Finally, keep a running list of activities you enjoy doing alone. This becomes your go-to resource when you find yourself with unexpected free time. The more you practice these activities, the more natural and enjoyable solitude becomes. When we talk about building a healthy relationship with yourself, it's really like nurturing any other important relationship in your life. It takes time, patience, and consistent effort. You know, I used to think self-love was just about bubble baths and face masks, but it's so much deeper than that. One of the most transformative realizations I've had is that the way we talk to ourselves matters immensely. Think about it. Would you say the things you say to yourself to your best friend? I remember catching myself one day just absolutely berating myself over a tiny mistake, and it hit me. I would never treat someone I care about this way. Learning to be gentle with yourself is a practice. Start by simply noticing your inner dialogue. When you're alone, these thoughts become so much clearer. Try to replace harsh self-criticism with the kind of understanding and compassion you'd offer a friend. Instead of, "I'm so stupid for making that mistake," try, "I'm learning and growing, and mistakes are part of that process." Alone time is actually perfect for developing this stronger connection with yourself. Use it to check in with your feelings, your needs, and your dreams. I like to take a few minutes each day to ask myself, how am I really doing? Not the surface level fine we tell everyone else, but the honest, deep down truth. One practice that's been incredibly powerful for me is writing love letters to myself. Yes, it feels weird at first. I actually laughed out loud the first time I tried it. But there's something magical about acknowledging your own strengths, celebrating your victories, even the tiny ones, and showing yourself the appreciation you so freely give to others. Remember that self-acceptance doesn't mean you stop growing or improving. It means you love yourself through the process of growth, acknowledging that you're doing your best with what you know right now. When you're alone, you have this beautiful opportunity to just be yourself, without any pressure to perform or meet others' expectations. Think of your relationship with yourself as the longest commitment you'll ever have. You're in this for the long haul, so why not make it a loving, supportive partnership? When you start viewing alone time as quality time with your most important relationship, the one with yourself, it transforms from something to fear into something to cherish. Wow, what an incredible journey we've been on today, exploring this vital topic of being comfortable in our own company. You know, as I've shared my experiences and tips with you, I keep coming back to one fundamental truth. Learning to be okay alone isn't just a skill, it's a gift we give ourselves. Remember, feeling anxious about being alone is completely normal. We've all been there. But I hope the strategies we've discussed today, from mindfulness practices to self-discovery exercises, have shown you that solitude can be a powerful tool for personal growth rather than something to fear. Start small. Maybe it's just 15 minutes of intentional alone time each day. Notice how you feel, be gentle with yourself, and gradually build up your comfort level. Trust me, the more you practice, the more natural and enjoyable it becomes. The relationship you build with yourself during these moments of solitude will ripple through every other aspect of your life. When you're comfortable being alone, you become more authentic in your relationships, more confident in your decisions, and more in tune with your true self. I can't wait to continue this journey with you in our next episode, where we'll explore another fascinating aspect of personal growth. If you found value in today's discussion, please like and subscribe to We Listen and Learn. Your support means the world to me, and it helps others find this content too. Until next time, remember, you are complete all by yourself, and that's a beautiful thing. Take care, and I'll catch you in our next episode.